From real-life Yuri on Ice to the Fate franchise's upcoming takeover of 2017, I'm your host, Anime Sam, and this is AniNews. So, before I get started, I'd just like to give a brief introduction as to what AniNews is going to be. I've been wanting to try and make a YouTube channel for a while now, and I thought, why not make one that compiles the most trending topics from around the anime community into a central place? So whether it be a newly released preview, a news article, or just something from the community in general that I think you guys would enjoy, you can definitely bet that I'll be making a video that covers it. I'll try to focus on topics that are fairly recent, like say a maximum of a week old, in hopes of providing you guys with stuff that you haven't seen yet. Now the links to the full videos and articles to anything I mentioned will be in the description below, so feel free to check out those, and support the original content creators if you're interested. So, assuming that you haven't clicked off just yet, we can finally get into this week's news, starting with everything from the Fate series that got released over the holidays. Now, I know what you're thinking. The video that's currently playing is pretty old since it's the trailer for the Fate Grand Order First Order, but that's to help explain the Grand Order timeline. So, we have the preview here for First Order, which is the prologue to Grand Order Part 1, Part 1 being the story from the mobile game. So yeah, apparently this whole Grand Order series might just be one big advertisement for their mobile RPG. So then we recently got a preview for the Epic of Remnant, which is going to be a 4-episode series that covers the stories between Part 1 and Part 2 of Grand Order. So I'd recommend reading up on the plot of Part 1 before watching anything from Epic of Remnant so that you're not confused with the timeline. The next Fate announcement was for the Fate Apocrypha television anime series, which was recently announced alongside a short 1-minute preview. Fate Apocrypha will be a light novel adaptation in which the timeline takes place in a parallel world to the Fate Stay Night series where the Great Holy Grail War occurs in Triphis between the red and black factions. So this one seems to be the most interesting to me, because I think seeing servants of the same class fight, like the Saber of Red versus the Saber of Black, would be something pretty cool to watch, so definitely keep your eye out for this one. So this next series was something that I hadn't really known about. The Fate Extra franchise released an even shorter 30-second promo for an anime series called Lost Encore. This takes place in another parallel world to the Fate Stay Night franchise, and is based on their dungeon crawl style RPG video game. Last Encore is yet another wake up in a fantasy world with amnesia type anime, but with a Fate style plot where the MC is trying to win the Holy Grail with the help of a servant. But instead of being done by Ufotable, it will be done by Studio Shaft, who has also done works such as Madoka Magica and the Monogatari series. So I'm not entirely sure what to expect from this particular series, but I'm sure it'll be different from the other Fate installations. Finally, we have the Heaven's Feel movie, which is the Fate Stay Night route following Sakura instead of Rin. The first preview for this movie was released around the same time as the other Fate promos, but let me tell you that this one definitely looks the best. And you can already tell from the mood of the trailer that this 3-part trilogy is going to be pretty feely. This one's done by Ufotable, so it's definitely something to look forward to later in the year.
この楽しさを教えてくれた先輩への恩返しがしたいんです。それに私、先輩のお家じゃないとご飯美味しくいただけなくなっちゃったんですから。だから私は
Alright, so finally we get to move on to something other than Fate. Last week we were given a promo for a side story of DanMachi, otherwise known as Sword Oratoria, which means you get to potentially see more of Hestia. But since this story focuses more on Aiz Wallenstein and her party rather than Belle and Hestia, we get to see this world from Aiz's point of view. This is slated for a release in the upcoming April of 2017. Now I'm just going to briefly mention all the other previews that I had lined up, since they are fairly mainstream, and you have most likely seen them already. So for the first one, the official promo for Attack on Titan Season 2 has finally come out, thus reinforcing its April 2017 release date. Next, Sword Art Online's third preview came out last week, and it featured the new theme song by artist Lisa. And finally, Blue Exorcist got one last preview the other day before it begins airing its second season this Saturday. Moving on to the news articles that were trending lately. According to an article from the Anime News Network, Yuri on Ice's soundtrack became ranked number 1 for digital sales after its launch on December 21st. Personally, I'm not too surprised because the OSTs for this anime were all amazing. But my favorite was definitely the theme of King JJ. I don't know why, I just found it so catchy. It must be the Canadian me or something like that. Next in the news, the film Kimi no Na wa breaks yet another record to become the number 1 2D animated film ever released in China. It was also the fastest film to reach 100 million yuan, which is the equivalent of 14 million US dollars. The film is set to release in 92 more countries throughout the next few months through Funimation. Alright, now the final segment of this show features videos from around the anime community that you may not have seen before. So our first featured video comes from a YouTuber by the name of Patton Chen. He's clearly a Yuri on Ice fan and a fantastic figure skater because he was able to replicate the moves from the opening almost perfectly. So I highly recommend checking out the full video because it definitely deserves more views than it currently has. The next featured video and final piece for this episode of AniNews comes from a YouTube channel known as Top Anime Weekly. They put together a great awards list for all the anime from 2016, and not to mention the editing also looked amazing too. Now I know that it seems weird that a channel with almost no subs is showing a video from a channel with 400,000, but I just want you guys to know that I'm here to share as much as I can so that you can enjoy the anime community as much as I do. Alright, so that's going to wrap it up for my show today. I really hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it. This was my first time editing and creating something like this, so it did take quite a bit of time to learn everything. But since I'm dedicated to making this channel grow, you can expect another video next week. Also, I'm always open to any feedback, positive or negative, so feel free to leave a comment on your thoughts of this video so that I can improve. Anyway, you know what to do if you want to see more, so until next time, ciao!